Hello, welcome to Carnage Candy for the Nosferatu Spoilercast and review with myself, Sean, and that's Grayson.
Yep.
Cozy and from
Vampire.
home. The vampire.
The vampire.
The vampire. Nosferatu, a remake, of course, of the 1922 original from Robert Eggers, who did The Lighthouse and who did The Witch.
The Witch.
Who Grayson and I famously don't like that much.
No, not really.
But I appreciate that him and Ari Aster are responsible for the new wave of elevated horror from A24.
Yeah,
And
sure.
horror probably wouldn't be in its spot today if those two hadn't made their hits, The Witch and Hereditary.
Yeah.
I think, at least. But Nosferatu, I saw it last night at a 11 o'clock showing, alone in the theater. It was definitely an experience. Of course, Grace and I come loaded off of our Dracula 92 watch through, which we just did a review, and you can go watch right here. And I think I will say that Nosferatu was a good time and a pretty cool movie.
Yeah, I think I'm at the same thing that you are. I saw it in a packed theater. So there wasn't an empty spot, even down in like the low seats where they're looking straight up.
Oh yeah,
it was still packed. Which I have a pretty funny story about that whenever we start getting into the spoiler cast.
Awesome. I was very glad that I didn't look at any reviews. I saw I saw like the rumblings. You know, people were like, "Oh, this was awesome." I only saw a couple of articles that were like the most disturbing horror film in the last decade. And then I saw a couple of people on Twitter that were just like, this is so horny. And it is, but like...
Is not as much as 92.
I know. And I think...
Rated R is a whole different genre of horny right there.
Yeah, and I think I still need a little bit more time to process it, and I think I need to watch it again without thinking about Dracula 1992. I think...
Why is that?
I think that might have damaged how I considered and like what my expectations were. Well, I think it was great, and I'll give like a numbered score at the end. I think like... I think I kept thinking to myself, this is at least probably by the start of the third act, I was like, this is everything I want, and it's really well made, but why don't I like it that much? I think...
Oh, man, I'm so glad you're saying this.
Yeah.
Because, man, I was right there with you.
And I think it's like... I didn't watch this thinking about reviewing it very much.
Yeah.
And like let's just start with the good stuff. Like the production design is spectacular.
Yeah,
and
it takes a lot from the old Universal monsters and 92.
Yeah.
And it elevates it to like a whole new level. Like every single set and scene that you see in this movie is perfect. Like, it's beautiful.
I saw a review that said that it was really a backhanded compliment. The review said that you can see Eggers' fetishism for the props department. And it was like...
I don't know about that. I think he just wants the movie to look good forever.
Yeah, I was like, what a backhanded way of saying that you really care about your production.
I know.
But the sets, the costumes, a
lot of top hats.
Oh my god, yeah.
A whole lot of top hats.
I was watching it and I was like, this is one of the best lit movies ever. Like
sure.
Use of shadows is great.
Yeah. Especially since they have to use that for Nosferatu. Yeah. So like they really went above and beyond. And I got excited for every scene that involved fire in that movie. Because it looks amazing in that film.
I'm glad you said that because it's like it's almost a black and white film for like 40%, right? But it's really just super desaturated to make it really cold.
Gloomy.
Yeah. And so whenever there's fire, it's like this burst of like really golden hues, and it's really, really neat. I really loved the color use, and especially whenever, I know you said like kind of some calls to Universal and even Dracula 92 itself. I really wanted to point out there's a scene where the carriage is coming for him and the roads are laid out like an upside down crucifix.
God, it's beautiful too. Oh, it's so pretty.
When the carriage door opens, it's like on a weird, it's like it opens by itself, but I don't know what they did to make it look more unnatural, but the way the door opened was like itself was really weird.
The desaturation and everything probably helped to make it look a little weirder too.
Yeah, because it was black and white,
that was one of the scenes whenever it happened to where like the hairs on my arms started standing up because of like the noise of the horses and everything. And then whenever it slowly opened, like it just gave me like, not like scared chills, but just like, this is incredible. Just
this is cinema. Yeah,
it is like legit, like the Scorsese. This is cinema.
Yeah, this is the good stuff.
Yeah, it is.
So we get Thomas. You guys should know Dracula by now. Again, so we'll just kind of roll with this, assuming. You have Thomas going to provide for God, what's her name in this shit? God,
I'll pull up the castle.
No. You have him going to Count Orlok's castle to secure estate sales. I appreciate that it took a little bit of time to kind of establish the stakes for him in his new horny marriage. To like show why he's pressured to go do this, and him kind of making partner with the real estate company. So he is going to the castle. He gets in there, and the journey itself is a lot more than a montage to get to the mountains in Carpathia.
It's a lot longer.
Or the Alps. Yeah, it's a lot longer.
Like 15 minutes for him to get to Orlok's castle.
He just gets on a horse and goes. And I was like, man, that would suck.
I was expecting a train. Like, I was like, oh, okay, where's the train shot? Where is it at?
Yeah.
And then he just gets on a horse. I was like, oh, he's just riding to the train. And then 10 minutes go by, and he's at a village. Well, shit. There's no train.
That
sucks.
He gets to this, like, town of gypsies, and they're really fun, and the costume, it's just, like, the costume design is sick. Yeah. And then he has that cool fever dream about the Virgin on the white horse, and then them exhuming a vampire grave and destroying it. And
was it a fever dream?
Or was it? But
because his feet are covered in mud.
I know, it's like Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. I read on Reddit said that the superstition is that if you put a virgin on a white horse, it will not pass over the grave of a vampire. And so,
so that's how they figure out what the vampire is.
Yeah,
to stake it. Gotcha.
Yeah, because somebody was asking, like, is it a sacrifice, or is it like, are they offering the virgin up? And it's like, no, it's just a tool to find out what grave the vampire is in.
I wish they would have gone into that more. That's really cool.
Yeah,
that would have been like a cool thing for them to like talk to Thomas about.
Yeah,
to explain what's happening.
Yeah, I think he's trying to keep it disorienting
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
But we get past all that, and we get up to Count Orlok, and man, what a journey this dinner scene is. This, I think that whenever you look at like the beads of like what make the Dracula story so good is it's like meeting Dracula for the first time in the dinner scene. Then there's probably, I would probably say, Van Helsing's introduction and Van Helsing dealing with the fallout of Orlok coming, and then the big confrontation at the finale. So like, this is what I was most excited about, was how they were going to play with Orlok. They did the way they did, Gary Oldman, and even in the classics, that kind of awkwardness of, is he weird or am I being impolite? That kind of like, it's done more so in Dracula 92, but in this one, when he's like, you will call me Lord based on my bloodline. And I will say, I was like, man, what a like, this is the only way they could ever get away with doing a cheesy Dracula voice. You know, it's like
I was gonna call out his voice because whenever I first heard him, it reminded me of Splinter from TMNT 1, the live action movie.
Yeah, I can hear it. Yeah,
but that was the first thing, and like I couldn't get Master Splinter being underneath the cloak out of my head for about 3 minutes.
Oh no! Master Splinter's got the big hat.
Yeah, he's got the big hat and this humongous caterpillar mustache. And after a little bit, I was like, okay, I hear it now. But at first, I was like, why does he sound like Master Splinter?
Yeah, I can hear it now that you.
It's ridiculous. Like I couldn't unhear it for a while.
Yeah. But yeah, I was like, you know, he says his lines throughout the entire movie on one breath. You know, he lets that kind of growl happen.
It caused Tiff to like almost have an asthma attack in theaters because he kept having like these, because she couldn't breathe.
Oh yeah.
And she's asthmatic as it is, so like she started wheezing halfway through him talking.
Well, that's pretty effective, really, isn't it?
Like, it was super effective. Yeah. And she even said that it was one of the few movies that actually made her feel like it was causing her to lose her breath. Kind of like, you know, Thomas's character, whenever he sees him, he starts losing his breath and he can't like comprehend what's going on.
Yeah. So Count Orlok's look is like, it's clearly more of like his skin is dealing with his age, kind of melting off of him. They really pulled from what Dracula probably really looked like more of like a czar type of God, what was the Kingsman movie? Rasputin type character, like, yeah. And I think what happened to me was I was waiting for more, like,
as to show off what he looked like.
Yes. So we get his hands are like the star of his.
Yeah,
costume,
of course.
Right?
I mean, that's how the original Orlok is as well.
Yeah. And I think that after, you know, the dinner scene is spectacular and awkward, and the movie,
they even have the cut on his hand like they do in 92.
Okay. Oh yeah, exactly. Whenever
they make reference because his eyes light up whenever he sees the blood, which is a cool shot.
Yeah, and like up to this point, I'm like, cool. This is on pace to be like a 10 out of 10. Like, and we get this kind of scene where Thomas is trying to do something about him and execute him, and we get like full hog like reveal Nosferatu.
That's what I was talking about earlier. Whenever that scene happens and he stands up and you see his little Nosferatu pee-pee,
yeah,
I saw people down in the front going
because
they're looking right at it, so you just see him like leaning back trying to get away from it.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
It was so funny because I didn't expect that. Yeah. I expected him to like, you know, have him right up to like his belly button, but no, he stands up and there's Orlok pee-pee.
Yeah. He's like, you saw my pee-pee. Now I have to kill you.
I will say, like, I think Orlok looks great. I really like it. I could not get over his mustache.
Yeah.
I couldn't. Every single time I saw him with that mustache, I was like, man, your whole body's decaying, but not that mustache.
Yeah.
You put work in on that bad boy.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, like, we'll talk about this in detail later, but the movie's a lot funnier than, like on purpose funny than I think that, especially, because you haven't seen The Lighthouse, have you?
No, I haven't, because it was after The Witch. I was like, I don't know if this director's for me, but now that I've watched Nosferatu, I'll go back and check it out.
The Lighthouse is deeply hilarious. Like, it's framed as a horror movie, but it is hilarious, and they have giant mustaches, right? So,
This man
Eggers
loves mustache.
exactly, yeah. So I think Eggers was like, I think what probably happened was he looked at people from then, and they all had mustaches, and he was like, I'm going to give him a mustache because royalty then would have had, like, a count then would have had a mustache. So, I think that, like, it'll be, I don't know. I don't think the mustache or the design of him will be, like, looked down on or anything.
No. I mean,
think,
it'll all depend on whenever the statues and like the figures come out for him. That's whenever everybody will kind of look at it and be like
the horror community will decide.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think that'll be like the main thing that kind of changes everybody's opinion. Because me right now, because you don't get like a really good look at him until like towards the end of the film. He's hidden in shadows a lot, and you see him, in the shadows. But I definitely want to stare at like a statue for a little bit and be like, okay, do I like this design or not?
Yeah, let's take a look at him. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because at the beginning of the film, you get this. What's our lead's name? It's killing me. Emma.
Ellen.
Ellen. Thank you.
I wanted to say. Ellen.
Yeah, it is. So Lily Rose Depp acts her ass off.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal in this film. Whenever
I see her in interviews and stuff, I'm like, she's such a Nepo baby. And then it's like, man, she can act so good. Like
she can.
Like
it's funny because I was looking at her filmography, and to go from a movie like Yoga Housers to a movie as good as Nosferatu, it's pretty wild to see how she's like evolved in her acting career. Like it's really cool.
She had that HBO series with The Weeknd that was also like highly sexual. I remember the trailer just being like, oh man, they're getting it on like crazy in that show. But I guess that's probably like a real good reason that sold her sensuality and like her
for sure.
Even her, because she was like a pop star, so like I bet like her dancing in that show also got her ready for like the convulsing, the back arches and all that kind of stuff. So, but at the beginning you get that flash look at Nosferatu, and I think
was cool.
It was really cool, and I think what happened was I was like, you don't get like a good look at him because it's a few frames, right?
Yeah,
and I was like, I think what happened to me was I was like, oh man, he looks terrifying right there. I can't wait to see where it goes from there, Yeah. But it kind of just like locks into this look for the whole movie, right? I think I just had like this. I think I just had again like a Dracula 92 type expectation that like he would.
Were you waiting for him to go like human? Like to have like more of like a human look, or did you expect him to be that way the whole time?
Not necessarily, because Dracula 92 is so like over the top in its love story. I wasn't expecting him like a full on seduction version of himself to go after
for sure.
To go after Ellen. So I think I was expecting more of like a, I don't know. I think at the end of the film, whenever that conclusion happens, and like then he's fully lit, and like you get the blood and what his teeth look like. I think I was expecting like him to kind of look that terrifying in the third act, like the whole time.
Yeah,
but he is a shadow monster, and I think on subsequent watches, going in without that expectation, I'll like it more. But I think that's what kind of made me think, why don't I like it as much as I should? Because on paper, everything's done right here,
I think it's because you're such a fan of 92.
Yeah,
honestly. That's all it is I think you're such a fan of 92 that it's kind of hard to give that title to another film that is a lot like it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it does give you a more serious tone than 92 does.
Yeah, it's definitely a more realistic picture.
It doesn't have that same, like, I guess, comfort that you get from Dracula 92, if you could say that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I did come out of the film thinking Sean will probably really like this movie, but I was the same way. It wasn't. It was almost there for me, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted, and I couldn't put my finger on why. I think I have an idea. I think for me, it was the third act kind of disappointed me in the film. Mainly because, and I know we're jumping around a lot.
No,
in
you're
this,
fine.
But whenever they're on the boat and they're going towards Orlok's new house, you know, where he came over to in Germany, I got really excited because it's like, cool, we're going to go in there and we're going to see what the new Renfield has set up for them. And they're going to have to deal with him. Because I was hoping they were going to do more with his character. I know his name's not actually Renfield, but that's
it's
basically who he is.
Con, or something like that.
Yeah. But you get into this place, and I'm excited because I wanted to just see what it looked like. Because it looks really cool from the outside.
Yeah.
And then it just shoots in, and they're in one room. Like,
they
don't explode or anything. It goes right into his tomb, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I was really let down with that because I really got excited whenever they were going there because it's just a really cool shot going in, and then you only get one scene in there, and it's just them dealing with Renfield, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you kind of cut out and you go back over to Nosferatu.
Yeah.
That was my biggest issue. I like what they did with the conclusion with Nosferatu and Ellen. I thought it was really cool, but I thought they could have done a little bit more with the other group.
I think that has to do with I think I'm with you 100%. I think that has to do more with our expectation of like what we thought. Like, you know, we got 102 years of vampire movies since the original. Let's run through. So I think that I think we both will like this movie on subsequent watches a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, probably. I mean, for me, I don't know if I'd ever sit through the whole movie again. I would definitely watch scenes from it for me, but it was one of those movies that it felt way longer than it was to me too. I thought that movie was 3 hours long whenever I got done.
Oh yeah,
but it's still 2 hours long.
But
whenever I got done with it, so I don't know if I'd sit down and watch the whole movie again. At least for like a couple of more years. I would probably wait till it's not as fresh on my mind and then watch it again.
Yeah, like go back to remind yourself. But but with that third act and stuff, it's you know, I think it ends on like probably its best. I think it ends on like its second and third best shots and scenes, right, with Nos and Ellen. I think the most terrifying, you know, a lot of reviews that I've read were like, it's so disturbing, and I think what sucks is it's like, this is like following what came out this year. This is not a very disturbing movie at all. Like,
I agree.
There are far more disturbing vampire movies that have come out in the past 20 years than this. Like,
for sure.
I was just like, I hate
it's the kids. It's 100% the scene with the kids, and I think that
was great. That was spectacular.
Yeah, which you know, it's a spoiler cast. So here comes a lot of the spoilers. But the scenes where you see him with the kids, like, it shocked Tiff, and I was like, I knew as soon as I saw those kids, I was like, y'all are so toast. Man, y'all are gone.
Yeah.
There is no way y'all are making it out of this movie.
Yeah, I think it's like, is there something fucked up with me? Because it's like, after watching Terrifier and Substance, and it's just like, I kind of wanted to see him tear those kids up a little bit more.
I think
it would have been scarier.
It says a lot about the time that we live in too, man. Like, it's,
we're just getting so desensitized.
Yeah, it's not a shock anymore.
Yeah. But like the screams coming from the kids and stuff, it was like, I hope that when they open the door, it's more than the kids hiding in a corner with Orlok, coming at them, right? And I was like, that was good filmmaking right there.
Yeah.
It was very violent and terrible, but it didn't have to be the worst. I think the most, for me, it wasn't the kids that was the most terrifying. I think it was the first time you see Orlok feeding off of Thomas.
Where he's biting him on the chest.
Yeah, he's just like a giant leech. He's like a face hugger, right? And he's just pulsating and slurping, and it's just like very inhuman. I was like, that's pretty good stuff right there.
Yeah.
I also like the chest sucking in general.
Yeah, it's different. Like I like the fact that they had him feed on their chest instead of biting him on the neck.
Yeah,
I guess I like that a lot.
I wonder if it's like getting a direct access to the heart to help them slurp.
Yeah, I
better.
wonder. Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting. But I don't know a lot about the original like Nosferatu, and if you did that in the original either. You know, I saw it once when I was like 10.
Yeah, that was like I remember when my dad like made me watch Frankenstein. He made me watch Nosferatu. He made me watch the original Wolfman. It was kind of, and I was like, okay. You know? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's like I've already accidentally seen a foursome with Keanu Reeves, so
I don't know what you're trying to hit me with. You should have hit me with these first.
Yeah, this would have been
gone into that.
This would have been logical. I want to talk about the humor, especially a couple of key scenes. Like, it's really easy. If I would have seen this right after The Witch, I would have been like, okay, they're pretty full of themselves, right? But after seeing The Lighthouse and just like watching Aaron Taylor Johnson, like, pray tell, what foul beast? You know they had so much fun making that shit. Like, there's a line that Willem Dafoe, I counted, it's at least 3 times, maybe 4 times. But Willem Dafoe says this line about, we must kill the vampire before first cock crow.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about like a rooster crowing, right? Mm-hmm. But he says cock crow, and he throws out cock like really hard every time he says it, and it is so fucking funny. And you can tell Eggers was like, hey, really sell.
Really give it to us.
Yeah, really give it.
Really Defoe it up on this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when they're in the tomb, Grayson, I don't know if you saw this or really thought about it, but there's a scene where Willem Dafoe clearly breaks character and starts laughing while he's...
Are you talking about while he's catching everything on fire?
Yes. He clearly, like, if he is acting that laugh, it is, but he is so going over the top in his yelling about letting Ellen do her thing and then them doing their mission. He clearly breaks and starts cracking up laughing, right? But then he's laughing, and then he just like turns on his crazy eyes to like sell through it.
Yeah.
And then it's all in one take, and so then he like starts burning stuff down. And I'm like, oh man, what a take to break on, right?
I know. But in a way it kind of makes sense with his character because he's just absolutely losing it. So it's a beautiful, if it was him actually cracking and not acting, it couldn't have come at a better time.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah. And I was like, that is hilarious. But
yeah,
with the mustaches and the costumes and the dialogue, and it was like, it was kind of like this intentional hamming it up, you know, kind of Sean smug face.
Yeah, for sure.
I was like, I think that's one of the things I was really excited to go see, because when you're watching the trailer and you see Aaron Taylor Johnson turn around, like with his super dapper mustache and his big chops, and it's like they had a good time. They had a good time in props making that.
He's in a lot more of the movie than I thought, too.
Yeah.
Like, he's in it more than Thomas is. Like, Frederick's like I think the second most on screen. Like, it's insane on how much of that movie he's in.
And you just feel awful for him, man.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, it's just like, you think... I kept thinking he was going to do something, like, asshole-ish, but, like...
No.
You know, he's just a wealthy guy that loves his wife and kids. Like,
the only part that's kind of him being an asshole is whenever he kicks her out of the house But in a way, I understand it because he's terrified.
Yeah,
This woman that he just had in his house has been having these night terrors nonstop for a month.
Yeah, keeping the kids up and all
keeping
that.
the kids up, terrifying them, terrifying his wife. They had to tie her down, and she was still panicking. Like,
Yeah.
I get why he acts the way he acts. I don't think he's a bad character at all. I just think he's scared.
Yeah,
Like,
I just think it's like from the wardrobe and like how handsome he is, you naturally are like, oh man, is he gonna have a woman on the side or something? It's like clearly the script doesn't have the real estate for any of that to happen, but it was just like at the end, it was like, man, this is really heartbreaking. Poor guy.
I also I really like the doctor character in this one too. What's his name? Ralph Innes. I think is his name.
Yeah,
he's the dude with a really cool voice.
Yeah, he's from The Witch.
For D4. Yeah, he's been in a lot of films like that.
Yeah,
but I like that they made his character a lot more grounded in this one too. Like he's catching on to what's happening a lot faster than he probably should be.
Yeah.
But it's because he was trained by Defoe's character.
Exactly.
So I love the way that he acts in it.
Pump this girl full of opium. She's still coming. Like,
yeah, she's still up. Do I need to give her more ether?
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Stop
she's had enough.
He's gassing
stop
her.
gassing her. Like, she's had enough. Stop gassing her. He's like, a little bit more.
Yeah.
I know she's out. A little bit more. I can give her some more.
Yeah. I think it'd be good, I guess, to at least talk a little bit more about like this kind of telepathic relationship between Ellen and Orlok. Like, what'd you think of her pseudo possession, dreamscape convulsing kind of episodes?
I really liked it because they go into the only reason why Orlok is awake is because she accidentally woke him up, right? Searching for something.
Yeah,
to be happy and accidentally woke him up.
That's the gist that I got. I thought that they were just like a binary of telepathic hunger seekers, and there's kind of like a binary between like she's so eager to find normalcy and he's like I felt like she considers herself as monstrous as Orlok is, right? So there's like this binary between the two of them.
Defoe's character says that she is one with the occult. So even he picked up that she's not normal.
Yes, it's like she's got the Shining, or
pretty much, yeah. Like she's the only one that can pick up on what Nosferatu is doing, and Thomas kind of can too, because he says that he can feel him and he can feel that he's still under his power. But that makes sense because he's been bitten.
Yeah, as a vampire,
yes,
concubine would be right. But yeah, there was. Man, I think the other thing that like I left wanting more was this kind of there's this a very short scene where Thomas and Ellen are like fucking, right? And it's Thomas's attempt to like seek some kind of sexual but also like some kind of physical reclamation to like reclaim his wife from Orlok. By having like this really intense like sexual encounter, and like I felt like that was something that could have been explored like over the course of his return until the end of the movie.
Kind of like picking at him to kind of make him even more angry towards Nosferatu to really lead up to that finale. Yeah,
or Thomas like dealing with seeing her, I mean, constantly orgasming and having like a transcendental sex encounter all the time, right? Like, what's that doing to Thomas? Like, is he like, since he's also a slave of Nosferatu, like, is he dealing with that internally? And then like, how does him trying to reclaim Ellen, like, how does that affect Nosferatu? Is he watching them have sex and is like, oh, mine, I think that could have been like a really interesting theme that they clearly thought of, but like, I don't know, maybe there'll be an uncut version where
I think it came down to the point where they just didn't need it. I think that's what it came down to. I think that they they saw what they had and they were like, look, this film, it's already pushing almost 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Like we don't need this. Like this is fine the way that it is. And I don't think, honestly, the way that they have Orlok set up in that movie, I don't think he cared.
Yeah, I think he just wants the good blood.
Yeah, I don't think it was anything. I mean, there's probably, a lust in there for him, but I don't think it was on the same level as like Dracula was.
Yeah.
I think it was more of a...
I think I just would have liked to see, like, how does Orlok's desire combat Thomas's desire?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, that's really interesting. I would have liked to see more of that. But her, there's a couple of times when she's, like, doing, body convulsions and dancing, and it's, like, really effective work.
Oh, yeah, she does. She's probably the best actor in the whole movie. Yeah. Like, she steals every single scene she's in. She steals it.
Whenever she stands next to that little shelf, were you like, she's about to throw that shelf over?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was sitting in theaters, and I was like, she's about to throw that shelf. Watch this. Oh!
How many times?
Oh, no.
How many times did it make you jump?
0.
You didn't jump at all?
I didn't jump a single time.
It got me once, like really, really good.
Oh, wait, what part was it?
It was on the boat. Whenever
shadow work there.
No, it was amazing.
Yeah.
But that was the only time that it really got me, because I was like, okay, he's going to be right behind him whenever the thunder strikes again. And then it struck, and then he came from the left side. I was like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, very clever.
And it wasn't like, oh my God. It was more of a, oh, that was loud.
Yeah.
That was good.
I did feel like by the 5th or 6th blood face flash that I was like, this is pretty. I was like, this is kind of like Alan Wake kind of shitty.
Yeah, like, I was going to bring up, I wish he would have laid off the over the top loud jump scenes and really went more towards like the creepiness,
because that's what he's best at, right?
Yeah, it is. It is for sure. And there were a couple of them that I was like, that was just loud.
Yeah,
like I wish it wasn't just that loud. But it still does its job. But with the design of Nosferatu and what you see at the very beginning of the film, I feel like he could have had a lot more fun with him sneaking up on people and being a lot more creepy than just like, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it was just like every big scare scene, every big creepy scene, he had to do some kind of like or he felt he had to do some kind of exclamation point, like but that the boat scene with like you seeing his arm as the lantern swings, and then him in the curtains, and him sucking on Thomas, like those are all far more scary than any jump scares in the movie. But I was just like, it's not getting me, like, and I don't know, but I
was hoping
pretty creepy.
I was hoping for a crawl on the wall.
Oh yeah,
while Thomas was at because his design, it would look so cool.
Yeah,
with, like the huge cloak on,
his extra long limbs.
Around. Yes, like it would have looked amazing. And I was waiting for him to climb on something, and it just never happened.
Yeah. And Thomas escapes pretty quick.
Kind of abruptly too. It's just kind of like, hey, I got sucked on, dog's on me, jumps out the window.
Yeah. But I mean, it's all fine. It was good. The turn with whenever they get back to when Thomas gets back into not London but Germany. I wish they would have like kind of just like in Dragonlance 2, I feel like Thomas just kind of like fades into the background.
Oh, he does. It's all about
Frederick.
It's about Frederick the doctor and then William Dafoe at that point.
Yeah.
Then because Thomas, whenever he finally makes it back, he's unconscious for like another 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and it's like, oh, okay, there you are.
And I guess it's necessary because Nos kind of says, hey, the next 3 days are going to suck real bad. So
yeah. And
get ready for it.
it does make you feel for Thomas in that film. So I will say that they do a good job of making sure that he is trying his best to save her at the end by saying, like, I will not stop until I kill him, even though she knows she has to be the one to do it.
Yeah.
But you really do feel for him a lot more than you feel for Keanu in Dracula 92.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's this scene to where Thomas is running back to get to Ellen, and like the music that's playing is like, it's perfect, and it really makes you feel for Thomas because you know what's happening, but he has no idea what he's about to like walk in on. So
yeah,
I do appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, the urgency is like really
it is
terrible, right? And I think that the ending of this is really effective. It is pretty damn good. I think again it's just like that expectation. It's like this is not a 3v1 showdown with crossbows and stakes kind of movie, you know.
And like I was getting to earlier, I didn't want it to be that. I wanted something more from the Renfield character.
Yeah, he was creepy. Like
he was, and that's why I wanted more with him, because he bites that one guard's neck, and he's like chewing through all these animals, and they talk about when they find him, he had eaten all of these sheep alive. And he was just howling. So I was hoping, I was hoping they were going to do that whenever they go into Orlok's new place, because I wanted that creepy factor from him.
Yeah, he had really good presence.
He did. He did so well in that movie.
Yeah, I agree. But again, it's just like real estate.
I know. Yeah.
I think it's like, again, I'll watch it again, and I'm sure I'll like it a little bit more, because I liked Witch more the second time I watched it, because I watched it without scariest movie ever made, right? Like I think that legacy has followed Eggers, and like it like puts this gloss over my eyes of like he's not that good, right? And I think that's unfortunate, because he is a really good filmmaker. But like when I went into Nosferatu, it's like if I had gone into Nosferatu reading reviews, I would like it far less.
Yeah,
I get that, because everybody says it's the best, like it's the most disturbing thing ever, right? Just like if I would have gone into if I would have just seen The Witch without seeing any reviews for it, like if I had not seen anything about it and I booted it up on Netflix like a year later, I would have been like, this movie's pretty fucking creepy. Like it's a slow burn, but like it's really effective.
It's still creepy, yeah, for sure.
But instead, I'm just glad I didn't go into Nosferatu with that kind of expectation. So
yeah, he's definitely one of the best directors out there right now. Like if you just look at the way his films look.
Exactly.
But I don't know if I'm necessarily a fan of his. Like, I respect what he does. I really respect what he does. But his movies just aren't the type of movies that I can just put on and just watch at any time. You know, it is definitely I'll watch your film once, maybe every 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
If that.
And y'all appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate it. It's not my favorite movie of all time, but I'll definitely look at it and be like, man, this is probably one of the best looking vampire movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, yeah. And when I say he's not that good, I mean that in the quotations
of course. Yeah.
Of me hearing the ethereal reviewer saying it's the scariest movie ever made, Sean. You're supposed to love it more than anything, right? And just me kind of watching a movie and thinking, no, it's not. No, it's not. So
I understand why a lot of reviewers would go into this thinking that. I mean, you have to understand that a lot of reviewers don't dive deep into horror like we do. If they're, horror reviewers do, of course. Yeah. But a lot of the times they'll pick up on something like that, and it will be the most terrifying movie they've ever seen. Do I think most of the people that reviewed this film that said it was the scariest movie of all time saw like Terrifier or the most disturbing movie of all time, watched Terrifier 3 or anything like that? No.
Yeah. Or have seen like Let the Right One In.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Which is, a way more in your face and, this really disturbing film.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's cool that you have a movie like Nosferatu out there that a lot more people can put their eyes on and can kind of see what horror can bring, because it's not always, uber gory or anything like that. You can have a movie like Nosferatu and you can show like how beautiful horror can be. And that's what I appreciate about Nosferatu, because it is just oh my God, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like every scene of that movie is just perfect.
Yeah. It's an absolutely gorgeous movie.
It is.
Out of 4 or out of 5, I'd say it's a 4.2.
4.2. Oh, you're going to the points now.
Yeah.
You're doing like I had to do the other day. Okay. I've thought a lot about this. I think after a first time viewing, I'm going to give it a 3, which is still a pass, but it's just, for me, it's just not a movie that I would watch all the time. I think it's good, but I don't think it's like an all-time great for me. I think that most people will see it will be like, this is the best movie ever. And I agree. Like, a lot of people will think that, but just, it's just not my type of horror movie,
We recorded our top 10, each of our top 10s of the year before seeing Nosferatu. Would it have cracked a 10 spot for you?
For me, let's see.
You can just say a yes or no, because I don't want to.
I think it would have. I think, and I'll even say, I think it would have been like number 10 for me, probably. And I would have just moved some other stuff around.
Yeah, I think it would have been somewhere between 7 and 10 for me.
Yeah,
it would have nudged.
Sure.
It would have nudged in there, but it wouldn't have disrupted my list.
No,
but it would have made it.
I thought, going into it, I thought, okay, this will probably be in I was thinking it was going to be around like a 6 for me, like in my top 10, like in the 6 area.
Yeah.
But after getting done watching it, I was like, okay, this is still definitely one of the better horror movies of 2024 for sure.
It's one of the if it were talking about the best made, it would be like top 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as like how it connected with me, like top 7 or top 10, yeah.
And that's what I hope a lot of people understand about this review whenever they watch it, is by no means am I saying this is a bad film or that Sean's saying it's a bad film. Yeah. It's a great movie. It just didn't hit us the way that we thought it was going to hit us.
Yeah. But I'm glad you liked it. I think it's a great way to end one of the best years in horror ever. Which I can direct you to our review of, is 2024 the best year in horror ever? Mm-hmm. And again, this is just another movie that would have made that argument even harder. But I was curious if this would have been the movie that, like, if this was just like the best movie ever, and it would have been like, yep, 2024 is the best. Fuck 1987.
I mean, it does add, one more thing to put up against 87. I still think that we were right in what we said. Yeah. But it definitely is one of those, this is going to be fun to look back at again next year whenever we see. Because 2025's already got some heaters coming its way too. So we're definitely going to have to wait and see what Wolfman 28 years later bring to the table.
I know. It's going to be a great year. Mm-hmm. Make sure and go to our Patreon at patreon.com/hangtime, which is our parent Patreon. If you like content like this, support it. It would mean a lot. And we have a ton of wolf-based content.
Yeah, we do.
Coming in the next couple of weeks for our Wolfman review. So go see Nosferatu and have yourself a good time. We're going to go stay and go hang out and play video games now. Y'all have a great day. Goodbye.
Goodbye.